Hi, this is Julie Calvi, and I've got a little YouTube to record today. And no, this is not a TED Talk, so I don't know how they do it. I've got a list that I have to look at. I think that they must have teleprompters or something, but this is too much for me to do without looking at my list, so thanks for putting up with that. I have some guiding principles that I go by when I'm working with people as a life coach, and this is something that I found to be true when I really um, go deep inside somebody. And this is what I mean by when I say I introduce you to you. When I get underneath what you're saying and kind of read between the lines and find out what's underneath all of that, this is what I find. These are my guiding principles, and they apply also to all of you. So here we go. First of all, I find that people all have something in common, which it's a common ground of being. By loving, honoring, and valuing self and others, we return to this common ground of being by loving, honoring, and valuing self and others. It's like we find ourselves home when we connect with others and ourselves in this way. And I find that that's very, very important. And since it is so important, it's something that during the exercises that I give to people, it's something that I suggest that people do. The other thing that is, I find that people are inquisitive. And as a life coach, I'm extremely inquisitive, and it's really magical. I am very curious about you, and learning about you is an awesome experience, and I mean it in the literal way. It's an awesome experience. So wonder, curiosity, and inquiry are the source of all learning. And I learn so much about you, and that's why I enjoy you so much. And I really do enjoy you. Um, and I learn so much about you just by being curious. So that's another thing I suggest to people, is that they allow their curiosity to come out and just be curious about the things that they like to do and see where it leads them. The other thing that's true about people is that people contribute based on purpose, which then generates true fulfillment. Contribution based on purpose results in true fulfillment. This is a guiding principle that I use, and when because many people come to me wanting to know, why was I born? I feel something coming up in me, or I feel something lacking in me, and I want to know why I was born. And also, I feel like I want to leave a mark. I feel like I want to contribute. Often people say, I want to contribute. And I want also, they in the same sentence or another sentence, they want to contribute. So contribution based on purpose generates true fulfillment. So they say all these words, sometimes in different sentences. They want to find their purpose, they want to contribute, and they want to feel fulfilled. Also, people grow from connection. Connection is the wellspring of creativity. Now, you've maybe heard me say, when two or more come together, miracles happen. And this has been said by, I mean, I didn't make this up. This has been said by many, many. Carl Jung, who was an absolute genius and one of the fathers of psychology, he was to inherit Freud, to be the legacy of Freud until they broke up because they didn't see things the same way. And anyway, Carl Jung, he insisted that you share your dreams with another. And since there were no other Jungians at that time, he shared his dreams with his gardener. And it's not surprising because Jung was came from a village. He was a peasant when he was young, so he's very, very earthy. And you may have heard other stories. He built his own home out of stones and lived at a lake and just played in the sand and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't bounce things off somebody else, another, it's just running around in your head. It's just a mind game. So it's absolutely essential that you have an other to really bounce things off of. I'll just make this really short. When I was going through a very, very emotional divorce, I had a friend who was a professor of philosophy, and when I would find I was in a projection, like I would go to that little girl place, I would call him up and say, okay, I don't want to make a mess of this situation, so here's what's going on. And he was very objective, and he'd say, okay, yes, this is valid, but you need to be careful about this, and he'd center me. So I needed that. I really needed to bounce things off of him to get centered again, even though I hated what was going on, and it didn't really take my emotions away, but it guided me in how I would behave. Okay, people seek value. Listening provides an ever-present access to value. Listening. Listen to people. One of the things that makes me a really good life coach is that I listen. And sometimes there's silence. And you may find that in your conversations with people that you or the other person is thinking about what they're going to say next before the other person has even finished, or before they're mid-sentence, and then the other person jumps in with a, I mean, that's kind of a typical conversation. I'm sure I've also done the same thing, but not when you're a life coach. You listen. And then you keep listening, because that next thing they're going to say while you're in silence it could be an absolute gem that otherwise if you had jumped in, they wouldn't have come up with. And it's just magical. It really, and that comes from being curious. If I wasn't curious about you, if I didn't want to find that magical place in you, I would be thinking about, what do I have to say about this? It doesn't matter what I have to say about this. It's being curious about you and listening to you. And so again, listening provides an ever-present access to value. I love that one. People act in their own best interest. Oh, wow. Well, they do. Discernment reveals the opportunities in every situation. Now that goes back again to my divorce and calling my buddy who could center me again. So it takes discernment to act in your own best interest in every situation. So if I'm complexed and I'm in a little girl place, of course I'm not going to act in my best interest. And people who sabotage themselves, and that comes up, everybody knows all the psychobabble. That comes up all the time. I know I'm not acting in my best interest. I sabotage myself all the time. But if you use discernment, and this is something else I guide you, I coach you to do, is use discernment so that you do act in your best interest, because this is innate in you. It's deeply innate in you. It's not just about survival, but it's certainly about survival. And it's about why you were born. It's about doing your true mission. It's very, very deep and innate in you. So it's very important to use discernment. And again, that goes back to bouncing things off with somebody else. These things just kind of wind in all together. Also, people live from their perception. An inclusive, present-based perception of reality is the platform for effective action. Now, this again speaks to being in the present, which is not being complex, little girl, little boy, but being in the present, being in the now, being centered. And when you take those when you take those little girl glasses off and you're centered, you're yourself, you're centered in reality, that is the platform for effective action. You cannot take effective action if you're in a complex. And the truth is that I'm going to use the generalization, but I'm going to use it anyway because it's psychologically true. Most people are complexed. I'm not going to use another generalization, but a lot of the time we are complexed. So one of the things I coach you to do is to first identify when you're complexed, observe, be able to observe objectively when you're in a complex, and just watch it. And go ahead, if you got acted out that time, go ahead, but just watch when you're in complex what's going on and go, oh, wow, look at that. Look how I'm behaving when I'm in a complex. And pretty soon, it just happens this way. Pretty soon, you'll be able to step out of that complex. And you won't, instead of reacting, because when you're in a complex, you're in a reactive mode, you'll instead be able to respond in an effective way. Okay. People have a choice. You have a choice. You always have a choice. It may not feel that way. I know it. I've been there. But you always have a choice. And awareness is the precursor to choice. So, awareness is everything. When I say I introduce you to you, what I'm saying is partly that I make you, I help you, I guide you to know you at the deepest level. You have many levels of awarenesses, many levels of awarenesses. So this is one of the things I do, one of the most important things I do is help you become aware of you in many ways. I could go on and on about this, but I won't. And that is the precursor to choice. When you're aware, you're in reality. And then you can make right choice. When you're not, your life can become a mess. Okay. Now, this one I love. People define their own integrity. You define your own integrity. Integrity, I say, is the most important thing in my life. My own integrity. I stay in my own integrity no matter what. Or I should say, I try to stay in my own integrity no matter what. I stay in my own alignment. So what this means, and let me read the rest of this, the vigilant development of fit between calling and conduct creates integrity. So people that come to me often want to know why they were born. They often say, I feel something missing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my life. That's their calling. Why was I born? What's my calling? They would like to wake up to something. But anyway, calling. Here. Why was I born? But your conduct, and even, okay, let's say you know what your calling is. I know what my calling is. But I may not always act in alignment with my calling. I'm out of integrity. And that keeps me out of alignment. Not good. You cannot come from your heart space, your soul space. You cannot stream in a genuine way, in an authentic way, in a way that will just sing and dance your soul's song and dance if you're not in integrity. So this is something that only you can, and this is something that I coach you about. I'll leave it at that. But this is an exercise that only you can watch and make sure that you observe again when you're out of integrity, and pull yourself back in. And it's about behaviors that take you out of integrity. And the more you do this, the more your life will change in a significant way. This is the thing you can do that will change your life in the most significant way. The people that you attract to yourself, your own frequency, your own vibration will change. The way people react to you will change. Everything about your life will change. So I want to bold that one and exclamation point that one. So I hope that was a nice little mini TED Talks, even though I had to use a list to, and I know it was a long one. I hope you listened till the end of it. I just want to say that I'm going to be doing an expo in Illinois, in Elmhurst, at the end of February. I'm going to be giving Akashic record readings for half price. If anybody lives in Illinois, you can email me and let me know, and I'll give you more details. So until next time, bye-bye. Julie.